So, a problem a lot of autistic people, people with medical issues face, ADHD, dyslexics, and so much more is filling out forms. This can be for a variety of reasons. It can be hand-eye coordination, which is can be this stress that's making your brain just malfunction. It can be distractions. It can be dyslexia or dyscalculia. Help me with dyscalculia is kind of this number version of dyslexia, where it might lead to reading mistakes. And also, with me personally, I have a hard time seeing where lines line up and stuff like that on a piece of paper. So I'll answer question 1 in box 2, or stuff like that. And a bunch of other things like that with lining up and stuff like that. Also, the stress and time when even if you can do it, you might get really stressed out doing it at the last second. And a lot of people with this stuff have high anxiety. So that stress is not good, and doing it way beforehand or forgetting about it. And then, well, if you ever have a medical emergency, you're just out of it. So here are some tips just to make forms in life easier. The biggest tip is just to keep everything simple as possible. Use simple language. Try to keep the forms down to a minimum. Keep the whole process simple in any way possible. This, I think, is just the greatest stress reliever. The next one, and also just don't ask for more than you need or make it optional. And have all the forms come in once and kind of pile, but we don't see it all at once. Another one is that if there's any way for you to get information from somewhere else, or later fill it out as deemed necessary. So sometimes, like at a doctor's office, they ask me a million times, what's your birthday, what's your name? I can understand it, it's very important to get it right there. However, every single time I get more and more anxiety and I feel like I'm going to mess up. And it really causes me to have a lot of anxiety. I know it's something simple, but it's trouble. And if you go nonverbal and you can't speak or selectively mute or situationally mute is the nicest, the most correct, because selective mutism, nonverbal means you don't have words, but you might be able to communicate in other ways to some people. And selective mutism makes it sound like it's a choice, or situationally mute means that you can choose to go quiet, you just really can't. And situationally mutism is when you're so overwhelmed you can't speak. It happens more commonly to disabled and neurodivergents, but it can happen to anyone. So, and another option is to have people fill out the forms later after emergency. And this is something that we have a problem with the U.S. healthcare system. Another thing is that people do not know if you're eligible for this and that, so they make you fill it out at a point. If we had a bigger, if we knew if everyone is eligible, most people are eligible for everything, then filling out later would not be as big of a deal. So why the eligibility for this programs would mean that later filling out stuff would probably be a lot easier. Also, with keeping it simple, that can help a lot of people like immigrants and stuff like that might not have all the forms together, or for people just getting out into college or out of college or starting up their life that do not know everything complicated. And when there's less mess ups in all these forms and stuff, people have to spend a lot less money and stuff correcting it and fixing it and tracking down, and the system is less likely to overlook you. And that costs the system a lot of money. The third option I have, and the second one means also like if you're filling out tax forms and stuff, if you already filled out data in one place, it automatically transfers to another place. Like there's automatic transfers of information and stuff like that, so you just don't have to repeat doing it. The third one is a step-by-step option. And this is really helpful online. I'll give some tips how people can do it themselves, but having it just appear one question and a list of answers means that for that one question means I'm not going to hit the wrong answer for the wrong question. And I would do this on tests and everything. I totally know the option for like in school and everything. But this is also for better test design online. But just doing one by one means I'm actually answering the question, not something else. Now, it might be nice to have an overview for option where you can see everything. So you get an idea of the length left or that stuff like that. Also, if there's any options to the length or progress you made, that also can help with anxiety or timing with a lot of people. So they know they're not going to be doing this forever. But a step-by-step option really does help keep the focus and everything lining up. And formatting it so there's breaks so it's clearly see what section is what section. And maybe hovering over an option and that option gets bigger or something like that so you can more clearly see that option. And know what it is, or hover option when stuff magnifies. Now, in the real world, we don't have this with paper forms. So what we have to do is, I use my finger or ruler or something else physical to kind of block out part of the page or focus. But it's not perfect, and sometimes people even stare at you when you're doing it. It's like mind your own business. A fourth one is more clear delineations in each section about what each section is actually about. Another one that is very, very nice is that you can print out all your forms, is that you have a lot of time to do it beforehand. A lot of time. And that you could print out your forms and the computer does it for your office. Now, having yourself having it so you don't have to make signatures and stuff makes it a lot easier, or printing out beforehand. Because some of us have difficulties writing physically. So being able to do it online beforehand, huge help, and it means we have to wait less at an appointment too. And waiting at an appointment can cause more anxiety, more stress for a lot of people. But also, you might be running late if you have executive dysfunction or all these other problems. And doing beforehand means you can also seek help much, much more if you have a problem. Having it also been done online beforehand means that if you'll print out mobile copies, which is what I have to do for every time I travel. Airline, I print out mobile copies because I might lose one that I have in the past and for reasons of anxiety. The next one would be better fonts. So, this is actually a huge help in that some fonts is not very readable or eligible. So think about your fonts, and this is how readable they are. And the fonts that are specifically meant to help dyslexic people read better. They have more clear differences between the letters and everything. But think about also stuff like zero might be not clear, stuff like that. If you really want to go advanced, having an option where it actually speaks to you can help a lot for some people with reading difficulties or seeing problems and stuff like that. Not for everyone. 8, if there's an option, maybe have a couple different formats that someone can toggle between, but don't make it too confusing with all the different formats. Have it on the side and say you can pick an option for it. Do you look like this or this? Also, something that I want to say that really bugs me is that a lot of them don't give enough space for me to write down my name or stuff like that, a phone number, and I have really bad hand-eye coordination, bad messy handwriting and everything. So having typed up, you can fit in the space better, but you can also make a format where the spaces get bigger or shorter depending on your name length or other issues. And you can print it out with bigger boxes if you have problems with that. And also having it online, an online copy, which might not be as physical as a paper copy, means that other people could see the forms better because they could talk around with the format more. And maybe the paper one is still a more official one, because paper is some way less harder to fudge or do security things. With non-fudgeable tokens, maybe we could go against that, and that's kind of like a Bitcoin thing, but the basic idea with that thing is that multiple places store your information, and they all have to agree on the chains, and that makes it secure. Now, not all of it stores all your information to make it safe, so you can't just hack and see information in all those other places. But it does give some more security things. With good encryption, that's not a big deal, but we go back and forth. But you're less likely to, the thing about it is it's more likely just to be one thing. Someone else can't steal and copy, or they know it's not the original. So we can work with that. Another one is with online that could help a lot is you could have something I call a make sense check. And a lot of online things do not have this, and it's really fun goofing off with this if it's not serious. But like, I have a negative. I changed it to a number, but it's asking me how much first alcohol education course I had taken in university. Before coming in, I put a negative 11,000 uncles that were alcoholics. But what a make sense check means is a check that says, oh, do these numbers actually make sense? Or are these numbers people making up the numbers? Or did this filling out make sense? And just ask you at times. It can be very simple in that it can ask you, oh, this income seems wrong, or it seems like you mistyped it, or does the letter not make sense? So some guy puts in values that's saying, ask them what happens if your number is above this or below this, or ask them if you put in this strange value, what to do. Or it can be very complicated AI that trains to learn what to identify looks like a mistake. Then having the ability to change your forms for a while before they submit it is also a huge, huge help with checkups and stuff like that. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you found this interesting. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, which is really hard, but with your help, I think I can do it. Also, if you have any ideas for future videos, comments, suggestions, anything, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you very much. Goodbye.